I work as a co-director at a substance abuse and co-occurring mental illness treatment agency. And not a day goes by that I take that for granted. In 1999, I paroled from prison for the second time. For the second time. Apparently, once wasn't enough for me. Yeah, it's pretty scary. That's me. All told, I spent over 8 years in prison on probation or on parole for numerous felony drug charges. For 10 years, I woke up smoking crack every morning and went to bed smoking crack every night. I spent most of my time trying to escape the helpless, hopeless reality of my life by getting high. On the worst day, I remember selling an $8,000 car that my mom had given me that I loved to my crack dealer for four $20 rocks. That memory is so painful that actually this is the first time I've ever shared it publicly. I came as close to giving up on life as one can without jumping off. But something extraordinary happened to me the second time I went to prison. About 2 months into my sentence, I got a letter from my ex-wife telling me that my mother, the person I profess to love and care about more than anyone in the world, had had a heart attack and was likely going to die. This wasn't my biological mother who had abandoned me shortly after I was born, but the real mother who had raised me as her own for all of my life. I was forced to look at what kind of person I had become. And the person I had become was not easy to look at. Because I had become the son who would not be there to comfort his 77-year-old mother, laying all alone in a stark hospital room when she needed him the most. Because of my selfish need to escape my realities by getting high. In a moment of brutal honesty, I had to admit I had been living a lie. I was not the loving son or the faithful partner or the supportive father or the good citizen that I had been telling everyone, including myself, for years. It was then that I decided that I needed to try to change my life into something that I and my mother, wherever she might be, could be proud of.
Are you done pooping?
And a tiny seed of change was planted deep inside me. So after my release from prison, I decided I would go back to school. Because I figured, what better place can a middle-aged, 240-pound black ex-convict go to blend in than a white bread community college with a whole bunch of 20-something co-eds. But I was fortunate. I was fortunate because at the local junior college where I landed, I ran into two instructors that changed my life. It was my interactions with these instructors that helped me to regain the self-worth and purpose and meaning and confidence that my drug use and drug-related lifestyle had stolen from me. I'll never forget the moment that I realized that I understood that I could create my own miracle. It all started when I went up to one of Professor Senna's office hours, fishing for some special praise because that had become my new drug of choice. She listened to me describe some super cool thing I had just done. And with no pomp and circumstance, she looked at me and said, "Isn't it amazing, BJ, what a person can do when they start believing in themselves?" And then, as if nothing special had happened, she turned back to her desk and what she was doing. Well, I walked away from that office hour dazed and confused and wondering what had happened. I was also a little pissed because she hadn't fed my new habit. But I was forced to think about what
He loves
had
when you wipe his
happened
butt.
and what did it mean.
Why are you laughing? Why is this so funny?
And importantly, that seed of change that was deep inside me started to stir.
So sweet.
A couple months later, while taking a test, Professor Miller walked by my desk and dropped off an application that I later discovered was to the Masters of Counseling program at Sacramento State University. So after the test, I hurried up to his office hour and run into his office and held up the application and very obtusely said, "What's this?"
What is so funny?
And without hesitation, he responded, "I'm quite confident in your ability to read, so I'm sure you can figure that out on your own."
You feel better. You feel better.
So I brilliantly followed that up with an equally obtuse question. I said,
It's so good.
so do you think I can do this?
So good. Oh,
And with patience, but no special fanfare, he looked at me and said, of course.
you're so good.